Hey Booktube, it's Emily, and I'm going to do the Booktube Newbie Tag. To celebrate the fact that I have 5 or more videos on my channel right now, the Booktube Newbie Tag was created by the booktuber Brenda C, and I'll leave a link to the original video down below. I'm not exactly new, but I haven't exactly posted a lot of videos, so I'm still sort of new, despite my channel being created about a year ago. First question is, why did you start this channel? I started this channel after wanting to make my own channel but not quite sure what to make it about. I saw other booktubers on YouTube and I thought it looked interesting. The second question is, what are some fun and unique things you can bring to Booktube? This question I wasn't quite sure how to answer, since I'm not exactly quite sure what I could bring, but I'd hope to bring a variety of views and tastes in books, the books that I read, a little bit of my personality. Hopefully that'll eventually shine through. Once I stop being so nervous in front of the camera, like I am. Not a great answer, sorry. The third question is, what are you most excited about for this new channel? I'm excited to share my reviews. I'm excited to hopefully get into the Booktube community. I'm excited to get myself out there since it's not something I'd usually do, since I'm not exactly an outgoing person and I'm quite shy. So Booktube's a big step for me. The third question is, why do you love reading? There are so many great reasons to love reading. I myself love reading because it's interesting and it's fun to get lost in the world of the authors. Fun to get to know the characters and follow them on their big journey that they most likely have. Follow them as they start to understand themselves, find themselves. It's interesting to see how diverse the characters are, how they interact with one another. It's interesting also to see the author's take on a certain subject, like maybe dragons or elves. For example, in The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, elves aren't described in a way that I was familiar with. So, we are usually used to little Santa's helpers, Christmas elves. And even if I'm not reading fiction, though I usually am, I can still learn something. Like, if it's not a biography, I can learn about their life or what they went through, and if it's not an autobiography, I can gain new information, even if it doesn't exactly relate to my life. It's always fun to learn. Question 5. What book or series got you into reading? I tend to hear people, well, not many people because I don't know many people, but I've heard people say that Harry Potter started them on their reading, and that it was their book that opened up a world of reading, things like that. But I actually did not read Harry Potter until after the Harry Potter craze was over. The earliest books I remember being excited about reading would be the Junie B. Jones books or the Amelia Bedelia books. But it even wasn't really those books that got me into reading. My grandfather, he used to read to me all the time, or at least those are one of the fondest memories, often enough for me to remember. And as I grew older, even after he died, I kept reading, I kept writing. I think he played a large part in why I read today. Question number 6. What questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? Some of the questions I'd ask are very similar to the ones in the Booktube Newbie Tag. How do you get the confidence to talk so animatedly, talk so excited and casually like the people watching are some of your great friends? And how do you find so much to talk about in the book? I kind of have trouble with that. Sometimes I just don't remember what's in the book, or I just don't have an outline. I should probably get an outline. Yeah, so I'd ask, How do they get the confidence? How do they find so much to talk about? How do they become so good at it? Because I've seen the booktubers that I like. They actually give pretty good reviews, at least from what I've seen. The 7th question is, what challenges do you think starting a booktube will be the hardest to overcome? There's a lot of challenges here when it comes to me, because, I don't have much motivation that I've told you guys yet, but now you know. It would also be a challenge to get the courage to talk in front of the camera. I've been sort of putting off the activity the whole day. It's been on my agenda, of course, but sometimes I don't want to do it. I don't feel comfortable in front of people or the camera. Most comfortable alone, honestly, even though it gets kind of lonely. Another challenge would be getting the will to record. Sometimes, like I said, I'm lazy. Sometimes I just don't feel like doing anything. And another challenge will be finding the will to read as well. Because when I read, it's usually I read a lot or I don't read at all. I'm trying to stop that. I'm trying to be not an avid reader like I used to be back in elementary school. I don't have time for that anymore. But I'd like to be a casual reader, so I have to work on that. Question number 8 is, when did you start reading? I started reading at a very young age. Like I said, my grandpa used to read to me all the time and become very interested. The earliest book I can honestly remember reading is Goodnight Moon and this one Christmas-themed one about Rudolph. Don't quite remember what it was called, but yeah. So I've been reading since as long as I can remember, young, into elementary school, into middle school, then to high school, where I kind of fizzled out. High school really drains all of my creative willingness or thoughts, processes. Yeah, I started reading basically around 5, and that continued. Question number 9 is, where do you read? Well, when I'm up to it, I read all over the place. I'll read in the car, I'll read in the, of course, library. I'll read at the dinner table, at a restaurant if I'm up to it. This is all if I'm really into a book or if I'm not in a reading slump. I also read places I probably shouldn't, like classrooms or events. This reminds me, the other day, I was reading the Welcome to Night Vale book, which I reviewed a couple of days ago. And that was sort of not a smart move, but it was worth it. I didn't exactly pay attention in class. Luckily, there wasn't much going on. Another place I probably shouldn't read at is a social event, because I'm not a very social person. Don't like talking to strangers. It makes me super shy. Question number 10, the final question. What kind of books do you like to read? It's honestly a variety lately. I used to be really into sci-fi and fantasy. Like, I would love the idea of aliens in a book or something. It's probably why I liked animals. Yeah, I used to be really into sci-fi and fantasy, but nowadays it's more of a variety. I'm not strictly fantasy, sci-fi, but it's mostly fiction. I don't really like reading nonfiction because I find it depressing or a little bit boring. I will read nonfiction from time to time though, like that review that I did about Dry by Augustin Burrs. That was nonfiction, it was an autobiography. And that was depressing, but I really liked it anyway. Okay, so that was the Booktube Newbie Tag. Like I said, I'll leave a link down below of the original. Anyways, I hope you liked it. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to subscribe, you should click Sherlock. I'll try to get that linked up, and sadly if it doesn't get linked up to subscribe, just press the subscribe button down below. So that's the video. Bye, Booktube.